Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Stitch Bliss Corner with Mary Rose. It's the March the 31st, 2019, and it's an excellent day for me because it's nice and cool, clear blue skies, and that's the Australian winters are pretty good, I have to say. So that's good. Yesterday morning, that was Saturday, it was chucking it down with rain, and I always think on a Saturday I hope the weather is good because of all the brides. And by midday the rain had all gone and it was coming out all nice and sunny and blue sky, and I thought, oh, that'll be lovely for the pictures. So that was a good thing. And then outside our kitchen window, Harlequin put bamboo in last year all along the fence. And I must say I'm a great fan of bamboo. I think it's lovely. And it's slowly been getting, well, not slowly getting higher, it grows pretty quickly actually. That's one of the reasons why we put it in there, because I'm not a patient person when it comes to screening plants. I want them pretty high and pretty quickly. Anyway, outside the kitchen window, one morning I looked out and there was a spider, and it had woven a web between the house and the bamboo. And anyway, that was pretty good, and he got nicknamed Mr. Webber. And I found myself in the mornings, opening the blinds and looking to see how Mr. Webber was going. Now, I don't know, when you're opening a new business and you do one of those business surveys to see if it's viable to open a business in that area. And I don't know if Mr. Webber's business model was not working, because it didn't look like his web was catching anything. So one day Mr. Webber was not there. There was not a trace of him left. And my husband, being probably quite pragmatic, as he usually is, said, oh, probably a bird came down and swooped and took him. But I'm just hoping that Mr. Webber's business model wasn't great, and he decided that he wasn't catching enough food and he went somewhere else to spin his web. That's what I'm hoping. And unless I see evidence to the contrary, I'm going to stick with that. So that's Mr. Webber. Now, what else happened? Oh no, I did get some haul, but I wasn't expecting it. And Harlequin got it for me, because there was a little packet, came through the mail, and I thought, well, that's probably something for him, because he buys these little bits and bobs for his computer or, something else, being a technical man. And he said, no, have a look. He said, it's got your name on it. So, of course, I opened it up, and I found that he'd ordered me some needles. How great is that? And they're all different sizes. Now, what's this size? Size 24. And they came in these little containers. I'll just take one out for you. And they're gold colour. So that size, it's a bit hard to see, isn't it, really? But anyway, that is that one, the size 24s. Then we've got, what's that one? 22s. Looking at it as though I've discovered gold. It is like gold though, because there they are in the container. And then size 26. And then, what's this one? 28s. So I was thinking, being that colour, when I drop them on the carpet, which I invariably do, I might be able to see them more easily. I'm a great one for dropping needles, or for needles disappearing. I don't really know quite what happens to them. I mean, my daughter had a book, and it was The Land of Lost Things or something like that. They made it into a little mini series, and it was where where you lose a sock or a shoe or something and you can't find them. In this story, they'd all gone into a different zone, a different dimension, shall we say, and people were throwing, if you had a missing shoe, you had to wait in this certain area, and it might come back to you, something like that. I mean, it was a little bit bizarre, but it captured my daughter's imagination anyway, and everything turned out well in the end. Thank goodness. Now, what's the other thing I was going to say to you? It's very scintillating so far, isn't it? Oh dear. Just hang on a tick till I think what else. Now, oh yes, now I was going to give you the update on Skating Minister, because he now has skates, and it was so exciting that there was great joy in the household when he was able to have skates. The only thing is, he hasn't got a frozen lock to skate around on at the moment, but that certainly will come. So I'll just show you him. Now I've got took it into my head to use some polystyrene to sit him on so he wouldn't slide about, but of course it's still not the best way to show you. But anyway, let's see if we can pull this off. There he is. I'll just do the up that way, and if you look carefully, you can see that's the tip of the skate going round like that. Now, Harlequin's of the opinion that I should try to outline it, couch around that to emphasise the skate a little bit. But I said I'm going to wait until I've done the lock to see if I will do that. Because this other skate here, the blade comes round there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But anyway, and his breeches just finished there, and his little stocking. I mean, really and truly, it's I am just so taken with this. I really am. And the idea was that once I got his skates on him, that I would then put him down and just stitch his background very slowly as I felt, and get on to some other things that are pressing. But I'm not sure that I can do that, actually, not at the moment. So I've formulated a plan. And what it is I don't do Stitch Mania because I sort of understand the sentiment of it, and I do, as long as you do it in fun and you approach it that way, I don't see any harm in it per se, as long as you've got a lot of kitted up things ready to go, and you're not going to blow the budget for a bit of nonsense. I mean, well, I shouldn't be so dismissive of it, but I think it's good in some ways for stitching, because there's that sense of camaraderie and everybody looking to see what everyone else is doing, and I think if it's in a light-hearted way, I think that's pretty good. But for me, I think I would just get completely stressed out. I mean, if I had 19 finishes for 2019, I think I'd just well, it just wouldn't. I'd panic, I think, probably. Or I wouldn't feel, it's not a case of panicking. I think it's a case of all those unfinished things, because I am a finished, I do like to get things done. I don't procrastinate if I can possibly help it, in life and in anything else, because if you need to do something, there's the old saying that if you keep putting it off, you do it 1,000 times, and if you do it straight away, you do it once. Well, I think that's what happens with me. It sits in my head until it's done. So, I mean, if I started 19 things off, I mean, I just don't know what I would do. I mean, I think maybe I'd start on the smallest one and work up. That way, at least then you'd, have a few finishes. See, that's the other thing. I suppose if you do a Maynia and you're just doing small things, then, it is a lot of fun because you can just churn them out one after the other. Although small pieces can be deceptively difficult as well. So, depends on what small piece you choose, I guess. But in my case, I tend to stitch on bigger things. I like to stitch on things that have meaning for me, and that, what's the word? Something that, well, like Scout, I never tire of looking at him. I'm glad that I could put him back there. I did have some comments of people missing him, and of course he's back in his place of honour where he should be. I think if I put any other picture up in the future, I'll probably put one behind my head if it's a theme that I'm trying to convey, if I'm doing an artist or something like that. And speaking of artists, Toulouse-Lautrec is almost ready. I was thinking of doing him today, but then I went down to Harlequin, who, he's been knee-deep in family history. He does a lot of research in family history, and he's made some quite astounding discoveries that we have to confirm them. But anyway, so he's been on his little, odyssey of doing that. And he got round to printing off some posters for me of Toulouse-Lautrec's, and at the same time he found some extra information that he thought that I might like to talk about, and of course he was right. So that was good, because Toulouse is someone that well, I think there's polarized opinions of him to a degree, and what motivated him and things like that, and how he felt he fitted in his world and everything. And so I think probably this week I'll be doing that video, and I shall put it out as soon as I can. Now, I was talking about Maynia, wasn't I? I don't know how, I just wander on. This is a wander video today. I mean, I thought to myself, well, I'll do one video at least. If I can't do Toulouse-Lautrec today, I'll just do the other one, because I do have a kind of a plan for May that is sort of batty enough to be a Maynia in a way. And that is that I got some, or 20 count Ada, and I don't know, people who watch me regularly will know that I began Cézanne's Harlequin on Hardanger. Now Hardanger is roughly 22 count Ada. It's roughly equivalent to that, apparently. I mean, I don't know if that's right or not, but I think it might be. And I started to do it on there, and how far have I got? Just hold the phone a minute. I'll just go and get him, because I can see him over there. Yes, I'm back again. Right. So I did start And that was as far as I got. Now, although Hardanger, let's see if you can see the, it's 2 threads down and 2 threads across Hardanger. It's, I'll take a picture and see if it'll come up. I'll be able to magnify it. No, it's not great, is it? Anyway, it has a weave where it has 2 threads down and 2 threads across. It's a bit hard to see it there, but anyway. So, and it has a softer kind of structure to it. And although part of me wants to keep going with this, I'm finding it a bit floppity, the fabric. And when the 20 count Ada turned up, well, as you know, I really like the Ada. I'll take a picture of that one as well. Let's see if that makes any difference. It has a better structure to it. It's constructed in a much more solid way, which is what I like for full coverage. I like to feel that it's got a strong support base for the stitches. So, you know, and it's a magnificent piece of engineering. It really is. Ada's just the most remarkable fabric I've ever come across. You know, it's just, as I've said before, it's the commando of the fabric world. You know, you can pretty much throw anything at Ada and it'll come out looking pretty good, regardless of the naysayers and people who say that any other fabric but Ada, you know, when you're stitching, which is, I just don't understand that attitude at all, because I think every fabric has its moment. You know, I mean, I suppose linen has its moments, but for me, I would only use linen when I wasn't doing counted cross stitch, because linen is fabulous, in my opinion, for embroidery and free stitching and that sort of thing. I think it's marvelous for that, because it adds to the texture, it adds to the overall look of the whatever you're doing on it, and there's a good reason for using linen. But you know, for me, if I'm doing counted cross stitch and I'm going along nicely, and then I come to this very thin strand, you know, that you have in linen. You have a thin strand and you might have a bit of a thick strand with a slub on it or something like that. How is that conducive to counted cross stitch? I don't understand it. I mean, maybe if you're doing a vintage looking sampler, where in the days that they just didn't have any choice in the matter, they had to pick a fabric that was uneven, and you're trying to get a certain look. I can understand that. That makes sense to me. But why you would go out and use linen for counted cross stitch, to me, you're just getting a rod for your own back. I mean, I don't know how that, you know, to me it wasn't made for, I mean, Ada's made for counted cross stitch, so why not use it? I mean, what's this thing about, oh, you know, I used to use Ada, now I wouldn't use anything but linen or even weave? And you think, well, you know, good for you. That's the way you want to live your life. I think I just get this undercurrent of, well, people have called it snobbery, stitching snobbery. I wouldn't call it that exactly. But I just, when something is not logical, and then you're turning around and almost belittling those who are doing the logical thing, I think that's where I start to get a little bit hot under the collar about it, because that's a silly attitude to have when you're choosing the more difficult road, and yet you're looking at someone who's using the sensible way of doing something, and they're sort of I don't know, singled out for some kind of, as though they're not proper stitches if they're using Ada. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I go on my Ada rants every now and again, and I'm sure the Ada fans are cheering me on, and the other ones are probably thinking, why doesn't she shut up about, about that? So I will now. Oh, well, sort of I will. Anyway, back to Harlequin. So anyway, Harlequin has been ongoing for quite some time. And I'm thinking that, see, that's the other thing. The actual fabric, this hardanger, it is a cream fabric as well. And I think the colour of the stitches come out much better on full coverage if you've got white underneath. I think it just seems to make the colours clearer and cleaner. So I think I'm talking myself into this now. That my idea for May is to try to stitch the whole full coverage in the month of May. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to pre-grid. And I'm thinking, well, that's not exactly cheating, because you can buy pre-gridded fabric. So I don't think that's cheating. And then the other thing I'm going to do is have my threads ready, which they are anyway, because they were ready for the one I was doing on hardanger, so I don't have to get all those out and everything, because the actual stitching time is going to have to go from the 1st of May through to the end, and we'll see just how far I can get with my piece, because there's two reasons there. One is that I really do need to tear myself away from the skating minister. And the other one is that it would be very interesting to see how far I can get in that month. Now, I'm thinking that what I could do is, once I've got it all gridded out, I could then work out how many grids I have to do each day to stay on time to achieve my goal. I mean, it's possible when I've got it all gridded out that I find that it's not possible. But then again, even in that case, I will be able to say to you, by the 30th of May, this is how far I want to be, according to my, my plan of how I'm going to do it. So that's my idea for May, to try and get a full coverage piece done in the May. Now, the thing is, it will also be affected by the amount of confetti that there is there, because confetti can slow you up like nothing else. And I think there is, well, I know there's a fair amount of that in the Harlequin. But it would be very nice to get a really good amount done on him, because I've just allowed myself to be distracted by other things. Now, once I get to the end of May, I will have to then see what I'm going to do, because I do want to get back to the wisteria piece, which has been unceremoniously shunted to the side. I mean, I'm still recording that as I go, and I'll do the same with Harlequin. I'm going to, for Maynia. Now, I don't think I'll do a day-to-day thing. I think that'll just do your heads in. But I mean, maybe I'll do, after a week, I'll just show you how far I've got or something like that. So, so what's going to happen now then is April starts tomorrow, as far as I know. Last time I looked, did I say it was the 31st? Yeah. So April starts tomorrow. So what I'm thinking is that I will probably work on my skating minister for April, because basically I'm not ready to stop stitching on him. I think I at least want him to have a bit of lock to lake, to skate around on. And because normally, how people say they don't really like doing the background and everything, and I do understand that, but I do generally, I do enjoy doing the background anyway. But in his case, that background stitching is so enjoyable. I just don't really understand why that is, but it is very enjoyable. So therefore, when you're enjoying something, well, naturally enough, you don't want to stop doing it, do you? So that's logical. I'm all about the logic today, aren't I? Dear me, I'll probably have a rock thrown through my window. But what else have I got now? Maynia plans, da da da. Oh yes, I didn't finish what I was saying about preparing the threads. And I don't think that's cheating either, because you can get a kit that's, got gridded fabric in it, and has also got all the threads ready, unless it's Bucilla, in which case you're there stabbing about in the dark trying to. I don't know if all Bucilla kits are like it, but the two I got, and I was very disappointed with the way they were. The way it was done. You had, 4 or 5 different pinks, and you were left to your own devices to work out which pinks they were. There are some kits that do that. They just put them in a little hank, and they just basically say, you might have, say, 3 greens, but the number of threads you have tells you which. So you might have a dark green, a medium green, and a light green. And the light green, there are 2, and it says 2. There might be 4 for medium, and it says 4, and there might be 6 for the other one. So you know which ones they are by the number of threads you've got. Well, that didn't even work with this Bucilla kit that we got, and very, very disappointed with it. And poor Harlequin, he was burning the midnight oil for me, trying to work out what the shades were and where they went, because they supply you with this card, and it's got the numbers on it of the DMC, which is fine, but then in certain lights a colour can look different, as we found with the Impressionists. So that was no good to us. And he was there, it was doing his head in, and he's an extremely patient man. And I said, look, forget it. I said, I'm not going to bother with them, and I'm hoping that Bucilla has changed that, if that's the case. Or if you're thinking of purchasing one, just be aware that that could happen. Another thing you could do is you buy the Bucilla anyway, and then you just, from your own DMC supplies, you just put your own DMC, because it's got the numbers there. So you could do that. But the whole point of buying a kit in the first place is because you're not that keen to be doing that. You'd rather be, getting on with your stitching. Not so. This was just crazy. So anyway, he put it aside and just basically gave up on it. So I don't know what I'll do with those kits. I'm just very annoyed about them. And see, that takes, you don't feel like stitching it then anyway, do you? Because you think, well, I'd rather be doing something else, like shelling peas or something. So anyway, that was that. I might cut that out because I don't want people to think that every Bucilla kit is like that. Maybe they're not. So anyway, on and on. I must just wish Kate from Kate's Crafting Corner congratulations on her engagement. And I think she's planning on a June wedding. So, she'll be very busy. So congratulations to you, Kate, and I wish you many happy years of married bliss. Now what else? Oh yes, I have to show you these. Now these came, oh well, they didn't come. I was at the supermarket. And every time I go to the supermarket, I always look, because they do have tea towels there. And I've been very disappointed for many months now that the only tea towels they had were the cotton ones, which I don't like, the smooth cotton. And I mean, they're just useless, I think, for drying up. Although I despise, loathe, and can't stand cooking, as I've mentioned before, I do it, but it's under sufferance, and everybody in the household knows it's under sufferance, like a broken record. Because if put it this way, if cooking was an enjoyable activity, then the men would all be doing it and would have done it for centuries. Now, I'm not talking about chefs who get paid very highly, the male chefs, and male cooks on TV and all the rest of it. They're the exception, as far as I'm concerned, to the rule. Because one of the reasons why men get married, one is so that they are satisfied. How would you put it? In the physical sense. That's one of the reasons. And another reason is that they do not like cooking, and they find it annoying, bothersome, time-consuming, and boring. So that's another reason they get married. Now, it might be a sad thing to be thinking that way, but I think that is true. It's all part of the partnership, because women, from what I can see of it, aren't that keen on working on cars, taking out the garbage, and DIY activities around the house. Now, there are plenty of them that do it. I do understand that and enjoy doing it. But a lot of women just aren't that way inclined. So I think it does balance itself out, put it that way. And anyway, regardless of all that, I see, and that's one of the reasons why there's there's a lot of strife, I think, in relationships these days with men and women, because I think, and so many breakups and things, because they're working all day as well as the man, they don't like coming home and turning around and having to cook and clean as well as that. And the men are thinking, well, you might want me to be, doing some cooking and cleaning and all the rest of it as well. Share it all, as they say. We share our workload and everything. But the only problem with that, from what I can see of it, is if the man comes across a woman that will do that for him, will cook and will do all those things, and not expect him to do it as well, then he might just be tempted to go in that direction. And I think it's an unfortunate fact of life, regardless of modern day thinking and where we as women would like it to all be going. There was an article I saw yesterday, and it was that they finally decided that female brains are different to male brains. Now, it's taken them a long time and a lot of research, and it's what did they say it was? Oh, it was controversial. That's right. Oh, this is very controversial research. And I thought, well, if they found that out, they found it out. I mean, I think most people who are, smart enough, work that out anyway. The female brain thinks differently to the male. I mean, women can multitask much better than a man can, and a man can do one thing probably better than, because he's got that mindset. There's all sorts of differences between male and female brains. That's evident to anyone who's got an ounce of common sense. But anyway, how did I get onto this? What were we talking about? Oh, yes. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because it goes the other way as well. The woman sort of thinks, well, I'm working all day, I'm coming home, I'm doing the cooking, I'm doing the laundry, I'm doing the, I've got the children. Now I've got an extra child who's an adult that I'm looking after. Would I be better off without the man? You see, it goes the other way as well. So I think that's one of the reasons why there is discontent and problems, because there's this impasse between the two now. So anyway, I was in my kitchen. Let's just dispense with that little rant. The thing I do like to do is wash up. I love it. No one comes near me, and no one offers to help me wash up or anything else, because to me, the washing up is the triumph after having suffered through the cooking. So when I went to the supermarket, I found, because I do like a good tea towel. That's what I was trying to get round to telling you about. And I did. I got these lovely tea towels, and I got 2 lots, and 1 lot is already on the line. I've washed them, and here they are. Now, to me, that is a great haul. And the little bow and everything. I mean, I don't know who put these together, because they're supermarket, what factory put them out. But I congratulate that factory for making these tea towels look even better. And I'll just get one out for you and just show you how good they are. See, they got this fluffy surface. I mean, it's fabric, I mean, it still appertains to, oh, what have I done there? Yeah, so there it is. Now, I suppose if I was completely honest, I would say that I would have liked them a little bit bigger. See, I've got a dishwasher down there, because we got one free with the kitchen when we had the kitchen put in, but I never use it. My daughter used it when they were living here for a while, when we were away. She used it, but I don't use it. And see, there's the surface. Look at all that drying capacity. It's wonderful, isn't it? So that was my, how many have we got here? 5 tea towels, and they were only, I think they were about $9.50 or something. I mean, that's excellent. Because see, with some of the hauls on Flosstube, it's almost like when you're an alcoholic and you say, I'm an alcoholic and I haven't had a drink for 5 years. It's a bit like, I'm a haulaholic and I haven't bought anything for, 3 weeks. And, I think that's another area that people need to be a little bit more, probably a little bit more aware of just what they're up to. Because it's so easy, isn't it? I mean, to see a chart that you think you can't live without. I mean, I usually, if I see something that I like, I have a cooling off period, like when you're buying a house. You have about a month's cooling off period just before you exchange contracts and everything. And I do that with charts, because it's so easy in the spur of the moment to think, oh, I really want that. And then, after a month or so, you have another look and think, well, maybe not, maybe it's just a little bit too big, or maybe that's not really what I fancy on my wall. So, you know, my goodness, this has been a preachy episode, hasn't it? I'm sorry. I mean, if anyone has taken offence to what I have said, please, you know, write in, and I will try to be sympathetic to your grievance. How's that? Now, was there anything else here before we can mercifully stop this? No, I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all. So, thank you to everyone who has stopped by today. I would like to thank the regular people that keep me company, and they know about my little foibles and my moods and things, my mood swings. And if you're here for the first time, well, you know, I hope that it wasn't too much of a shock to you, what I've been saying. And I think, yes, so Toulouse-Lautrec, sometime this week, I'll put his video out. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the month stitching on Skating Minister. Now, I am doing, you know, taking a picture of him every day after I've finished him for the stages of his development. I think I'll probably put that in next video at the end of April. I'll put that montage together because this is already 42. Well, it's probably going to be less because I'll probably cut the basilic. Well, I'll probably cut some of it out. And oh, see, that's thrown me now because I've mentioned the name again. Hardly any point in cutting the other bit out if I've mentioned them again. But anyway, whatever. I will get back to you at the end of April for stitching, but later this week for the artist video. And until then, I wish you joy of your stitching and all the best from Mary Rose at Stitch Bliss Corner. Goodbye for now.